What is your takeaway from this 37-page indictment from Robert Mueller?
Well, my takeaway is that the Kremlin interfered in our elections, that this is serious, and the best way to respond is to, first of all, impose the bipartisan congressional sanctions that Congress passed last year. President Trump has yet to do that. Instead, he's launched a series of desperate-sounding, unhinged tweets this morning, and to me, that is not only wildly inappropriate, it shows consciousness of guilt, which is what would a person who's guilty do, and that's what exactly a person would do: mislead, lie, and not take action against the Kremlin.
What do you think the likelihood is that these sanctions will be imposed now? There's so much publicity around it. We're all talking about it. I mean, in terms of the timeliness, must it happen now? Will it happen now?
For a long time, the Republicans in Congress have enabled Donald Trump to get away with not imposing these sanctions. Now we're starting to see some courage. We heard Trey Gowdy come forward and say, look, America was the victim, not Democrats or Republicans. And if more Republicans step forward, then yes, we can force Donald Trump to do the right thing, which is impose these sanctions to hold Russia accountable.
So this indictment says that the Russian operation began in 2014, whether that was active or they were beginning their research about it. The president tweeted about it, of course, pointing out that he didn't announce his candidacy until 2015. But that, in one instance, he said that Adam Schiff is now starting to blame President Obama for Russian meddling in the election, given the time frame. Do Democrats bear any responsibility for not just nipping this in the bud?
Well, certainly in hindsight, I'm sure the Obama administration would have tried to do this differently. But keep in mind, Hillary Clinton is not president. Obama is not president. The president right now is Donald Trump, and he's refusing to impose bipartisan congressional sanctions to hold Russia accountable. In fact, he's refused to say anything negative about Vladimir Putin or the Kremlin. They're the ones that attacked America in 2016, and we need to make sure we have a president who not only recognizes that, but takes action to stop it from happening again.
You know, the president continues to tweet that the Russian operation had no impact on the 2016 election results. But I want to have us all listen to a narrative expert on all the messages that Russians were spreading. Here's that.
They did have impact that was actually resulting in behavioral change in the United States, which I think indicates that there was a much deeper penetration of this narrative throughout the election cycle in the holistic information environment in ways that Facebook and Twitter and the White House are going to continue to deny. But I think it's impossible to deny that these narratives did impact how people were making decisions during the election.
Congressman, is it clear to you, did these Russian active measures affect the outcome of the election?
That is an unknowable question, but we do know that it was a very close election. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Donald Trump only won in 3 swing states, and if those votes had been altered or changed because of the Russian influence that could have swung the election, we're never going to really know the answer to that. But what we do know is Russia did do this massive interference in our democracy, and we need to make sure that does not happen again.
What about the president's tweet this morning? As you read, he's taking aim at the committee hearings, all the investigations, the party hatred as well. He says that Russians are over in Moscow laughing their expletives off there. What do you make of that?
I think that is a wildly inappropriate tweet by the President of the United States. But the best way to respond, again, is not only to hold Russia accountable by imposing bipartisan congressional sanctions, it's also to make sure that the rule of law is followed. That means we need to let Mueller's investigation continue. We already have 13 Russians that have been indicted. We need to make sure that the investigation continue to get other criminal wrongdoing and to see if there are other indictments that could have Americans who conspired as well.
Do you think he's trying to turn the focus away from the election, though, and trying to say it's all these investigations going on right now that is the most damaging part to the American democracy?
Donald Trump is trying to blame everyone but himself. He's blamed the FBI. He blamed General McMaster, his own national security advisor, this morning. He's blaming Obama, Hillary Clinton, the DNC, and on and on. I think he needs to look at himself and be a leader and be a president. And again, he needs to impose bipartisan congressional sanctions.
You know, a former Watergate prosecutor told me a bit earlier that this could be just the tip of the iceberg. Let's take a listen to Jill Wine-Banks.
There is obviously someone deeply embedded in the Russian operation who is cooperating. So I don't know if they only know about this social media aspect, or if they also know about the hacking of the DNC, if they know about the hacking of John Podesta, if they know about the work with WikiLeaks to get the information out, and if they know what Russia has that's keeping Donald Trump silent. If you've ever watched the TV show The Americans, it could be Russians who seem to be American, and clearly the people who were involved here took on American personas.
Does this seem plausible to you? And I will add that I asked her specifically, are you talking about Americans or Russians or both? And she said it could be both. But do you see this, playing out in the rest of the investigation, her ideology here? That there's, someone deeply embedded in the Russian, the Russian operation?
That's certainly possible. This indictment that Mueller just put out deals with the social media aspect of the Russian operation. Now, Papadopoulos and General Flynn are cooperating with Robert Mueller. That is not related to the social media aspect. There's something else there that caused Robert Mueller to get them to plea and get them to cooperate. So there's going to be more shoes that drop in this Russian investigation. And if the Russians did this on social media, you can bet that they did a lot of other things, including stealing information from the DNC, weaponizing it, and a host of other actions that they've done. So I expect to see a lot more indictments come forward.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.